Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video is going to be the second video in my March Madness series. Thank you guys so much for all of the love and the excitement on last week's March Madness video. If you haven't seen that one, I will have it listed down below. And I just was overwhelmed at how excited people seemed for this video idea. I really had no idea if it was going to go over well or not, if it was going to be too confusing, if it was going to make any sense at all. And your comments and feedback and the excitement has me even more excited for this series. So again, if you missed the first one, basically for the next couple Mondays here throughout the rest of February and then throughout March, I'm going to be doing the March Madness series. I have different categories of makeup. I have 4 products in each category picked out. I'm going to talk a little bit about them and then head over to my community tab and you get to vote on your favorite, and then I'm taking the top 2 favorites from each category and then we're going to go to a round 2. You will want to stay tuned to round 2 because round 2 I do have a giveaway involved in there. I was waiting to see if this would go over well and if people like the idea, and since you do, the giveaway is going to happen when round 2 kicks off, so you want to stick back for that. And then after round 2 and after the voting, I'm going to do a full face of all of the products that my subscribers chose for me. So that's kind of how March Madness goes. Again, I have a little bit more detail in the first video, so of course that will be in the description box, but today I have 4 more categories for you and 4 more items in each category. We're finishing off the face today with contour, bronzer, blush, and also highlight. So if you are ready to see the categories and the products and see which ones you want to vote to get to round 2, why don't we go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so I'm going to kick it off with contour. So I was trying to include 2 drugstore or / affordable and then 2 high-end in each category, and this is one where I couldn't do it. I actually realized going through my collection that I don't have a ton of contour shades, which honestly didn't make me mad because I basically have, you know, 1 contour shade. So why would I need to have like 50 different products of contour? I don't know. So I realized that, and I realized most of my contour shades are more high-end. So I do have the one drugstore option here is from Wet n Wild. It's the Mega Glow Contouring Palette. This is also in my setting powder category as well. But I also really do enjoy the contour powder on this side also. So this duo from Wet n Wild, this will be included in 2 different categories, but I did want to include it in the contour category as well. And the categories, like I picked out, like some things are my favorites, some things I just, maybe they're an older product I want to bring back, a newer product I wanted to showcase, things like that. But it's not necessarily my favorites because this isn't about me, this is about you. You guys are the ones voting, you guys are the ones picking the final product. So that's kind of how, I don't know, that's kind of my thought process when I was picking products. It's just, it's not necessarily my favorites. Some categories are my favorites, some are not. Some are new, some are old. I just want to see what you guys end up voting for. I think that's pretty fun. This one in here is a newer one to me. This is from TheBalm. It's the Take Home the Bronze Bronzer, and I use the shade Oscar as a contour shade, and I actually have it as my contour shade today. So I wanted to include this one. This is a newer one from TheBalm, but I have really been enjoying these. I use Oscar as my contour shade, and then I think it's Honey that I use as my bronzer shade, and these are really, really nice powders. I've really been liking them, so I thought I would mention it in here. It's a newer product. I know I tested it out in a first impression video, but I don't have my full review yet, but I want to come on and say I'm quite liking these quite a bit, but this is a really good contour shade for my particular skin tone. Next one I have here is from the Kat Von D Shade and Light Palette. Again, this is also in the setting powder category, and I said that you would see it again in another video, and this is the shade that I use as a contour shade, and I really, really enjoy this palette. I enjoy this palette overall. I use it for setting powders, for contour, and also for bronzer, and I just really like this palette. So if a Kat Von D is chosen, this is the contour shade that would be in there. And then the final one that I have is from Kevyn Aucoin, and it's the sculpting powder. Of course, I love the Kevyn Aucoin sculpting powder. I know this is a favorite of a lot of people's. This is the sculpting powder right here. This is the Contour Book 2, I believe it's what it's called. And I love the sculpting powder out of this. I reach for it a ton. So those are the 4 contours that will be in this category. Again, the voting will be in the community tab. If you go to my YouTube page, like my home page on YouTube, you should see some tabs at the top. It'll say like about, playlist, videos. You should also see community. That is where the voting will be. I know some people were saying that you couldn't necessarily find it on your iPads, I think it was. So there might be an issue there with iPads, but I think everywhere else, desktop, I can find it on my desktop, and I can also find it on my Android phone, but It might depend on what device you're using, but if you head to the community tab, the voting will be there, and I close the voting on Friday. So you have up until Friday to vote. It'll close on Friday, and then when we go to round 2, I'm just gonna be taking the top 2 from each category. So make sure to choose your favorites in each category, and those are the 4 contour shades that you get to choose from. I also tried to wear my Iowa State shirt today. I live in Iowa. I consider myself an Iowa State Cyclone fan. Mostly we live really close to Ames, and but I'm also just like an Iowa fan in general, especially like when it does come to March Madness or like bowl games or anything like that for football. I cheer for Iowa State, I cheer for Iowa, I cheer for UNI, like I'm just an Iowa fan. But if you were to ask me, like if I was gonna go to the Iowa State game, which is a really big deal here in Iowa, if you were to ask me what color I'm wearing red. So I thought that would be a fun shirt to pull out for today. What college team do you cheer for? I would love to know. Leave that in the comments. Next up, I have the bronzer category. So I wanted to include this little guy here. This is from e.l.f. It's one of their face duos, and this is in St Lucia. I wanted to pull this out because this is a favorite of mine for so long, and I feel like I very rarely reach for it anymore because I'm always reaching for like the newer products and stuff and trying to get reviews in and all of that. So I wanted to include it, and mostly just to bring it out of my collection. I'm going to pull it to the front and remind myself to use it. It has a bronzer and a blush / highlight, kind of depending on my skin tone. I can use it as either, but it is a really nice powder bronzer in here, and it has a nice mirror, and these are like $4 or $5 from e.l.f. Like their face duos are really good and really affordable. The other bronzer that I chose this because it's in my Project Pan 2018, my Finish 18 in 2018, is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and I'm not, like, I'm wearing this a lot. I always link all of my makeup in the description box, and I feel like there's so often where I'm like, Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, but I'm trying. I know a lot of people say this is hard to pan, but I'm gonna give it a shot. But this is a really nice bronzer, so I wanted to include it in here. And then the 2 high-end options I have, this is a favorite bronzer of mine. It has been for a while. This is the Urban Decay Beached Bronzer. I just really like this bronzer, man, and I like it especially in the winter, which is kind of funny because it's called the Beach Bronzer, but it's more of a lighter shade for me. I don't know, how similar is it to the Butter Bronzer, actually? It might be really, no, I think this one is still a little bit darker. This is a pretty light bronzer, so I also do like using this in the winter, which is why I want to keep using it right now until we get to the summer months where I'm a bit tanner and I need a bit more for my bronzer. So I like to use the Butter Bronzer in the winter, but this is also pretty light, so I do like to use it in the winter as well. But I just really like this bronzer. It's really nice and smooth, applies really nice, and I like the bronze that it gives me, so that's the Urban Decay one. And then the other one is a newer product to me as well, but I really, really like this bronzer too. This is from Becca. This is the Capri Coast Bronzer. When I got this, I went through a phase. I went through quite a phase with this bronzer. It's just really beautiful. Again, a little bit on the lighter side, so I like it for the winter. It almost has like a little bit of a sheen to it, but I just, something about this bronzer, I couldn't put it down for a very long time. So I do like Becca Capri Coast. So make sure to head to the community tab, vote which bronzer do you want to see in round 2. Moving over to the blush category, I really wanted to include this blush, and I feel like I've been reaching for it so much lately. This is another one that I'm like, oh, I wore that Essence blush again the other day. Okay. But this is the Essence Silky Touch blush, and this is in the shade Babydoll. I just really like this blush, and I've been reaching for it quite a bit lately. It's just a really nice, really light pink blush, but these Essence blushes are also super inexpensive. I want to say it's like $2.99 because I've been linking it quite a bit in my description box, so I keep going to Ulta to grab the link, and I'm like, really, $3 for that blush? Like, dang. You know, I was just talking the other day about how about that Burt's Bees from CVS, and it was $10 for a single blush. This Essence one is $3, so I think that's pretty awesome, but I really do like this blush, so I wanted to include it and give it some love. And then the other one, of course, is a cult favorite, a staple. This is from Milani. This is Luminoso. I feel like everybody on YouTube has like talked about this blush at some point or another. It's a really nice peachy blush with kind of a gold sheen to it. It's one of my favorite blushes for spring, summertime especially, but also just a favorite blush in general. I love Luminoso. And then the 2 high-end options that I picked out, one is a blush that I became very obsessed with very quickly. This is from Becca Cosmetics. This is the Flowerchild blush. I like so many of Becca face products. It is unreal, from the bronzers to the blushes to the highlights. Like, man, just, oh, I have her foundation on today. Well, would you look at that? Didn't plan that. But this is the Flowerchild blush. It's a really pretty kind of like pinky orange blush, again with a bit of a sheen to it. and it is beautiful. I love Flowerchild. And then the other one I have is my real fancy bougie blush that I thought I would pull in here. This is from Hourglass, and this is the Ambient Lighting Blush in Ethereal Glow. Yes, it is. I really do like this blush, actually. I got it off Glambot and I wasn't sure. I was like, meh, I'll just give it a try and see what I think. And I actually ended up really liking it. It's such a soft glow to the skin, but it looks really, really nice. I like the really light pink glow it gives to the cheeks. I don't think it works with every makeup look out there, but sometimes like I'll do a look and I'll be like, you know what? It just calls. It calls for ethereal glow. So I thought I'd mention that in there, give a little bit of my thoughts on this Hourglass blush. But those are the 4 choices that I picked out in the blush category. Let me know, who do you want to be the winner? And then the final category to focus on is highlights. And I noticed when I pulled out my highlight choices that I kind of went for ones that I think maybe people won't be expecting. I love highlights. I love highlights, and I have a lot of different highlights to choose from, but I tried to not go with like the new and now right now, and I tried to do maybe some products that I feel like are underrated as well. Maybe. But the first 2 from the drugstore, this first one here is the Essence Pure Nude Highlight. I don't know if I would necessarily say I feel like this one doesn't get a lot of love because I feel like I hear a lot about it, but maybe not as much as it could. And again, it's from Essence and it's super, super affordable. And I really like this one. It's definitely more of like a sheer glow or like that glow from within type, but you can build it up. I pulled it out the other day and did kind of like a soft glow. And then a little bit later, I was like, you know what? No. And I came back and built it up just fine. But this is a really nice drugstore option, the Essence Pure Glow. And then the other one I have is from JCAT Beauty, and this is the You Glow Girl Baked Highlighter, and I have mine in Bella Rose. Again, a more affordable highlight. I think the Essence one is still going to be the most affordable. This highlight is really mind-blowing to me. It has kind of like a lavender shift to it. It's kind of like that iridescent before iridescent highlights became like kind of the craze. And I just think it's a really beautiful highlight. I don't really hear a lot of people talk about JCAT in general, but especially these highlights, and they are really, really good highlights. So I thought I would include that in there because a lot of times I reach for this when I kind of want like a funky highlight. I find myself going for the JCAT. And then the other 2 I have are both highlight palettes. This first one here is from a Smashbox. This was the collaboration with Casey Holmes, the Spotlight palette, and I have mine in Pearl. I love this palette so much, and I think it's so beautiful. And I've been finding myself more and more lately reaching for it. Like I have it right out. Instead of being kind of like tucked away with all my other highlights like organized nicely, I have it pulled out of the container and sitting right on my bookshelf because I want to remember to keep using this one because I think it's a really gorgeous highlight palette. I think that Casey did a great job designing this one, and I think it's beautiful. So I wanted to include the Spotlight palette in Pearl. And then the other palette that I chose is because it's a newer one, but I feel like I really didn't hear anybody talk about this, and I freaking love this palette. This is the Pure Highlight Palette, and this is a gorgeous palette. Again, it's a newer release. I think it's called the Pure Pro or Pure On The Go highlight palette, one or the other, but it has 6 shades in here, and it's a really nice highlight palette, and I think it was only like $30, I want to say, or something like that for 6 shades, which I didn't think that was a bad price for, you know, a more high-end highlight palette, because sometimes they can be even more pricey for less shades. But I really like this palette as well, especially this first shade in here, which is called Twilight. I mean, I can tell just looking at this that that's definitely like my most used shade in here, but I really like this palette too, and I didn't feel like I've heard a lot of people talking about it, so I thought I could throw it in this video and show it some love. But that's the final category that I have for today's video. These are the 4 highlights that you can choose from. Make sure to head over to the community tab and vote what you want to see in round 2. Alright guys, so that is going to be everything for my second March Madness video. I hope that you are excited. I hope some of the products in these categories get you excited. Make sure to vote for your favorite one, and I can't wait to see which 2 products make it over to round 2. Again, check back next Monday. I will have the next March Madness video posted here. You have until Friday to vote, and then next week we are going to start off in the eye category, so I'm very excited about that. But if you guys enjoyed this video and you are liking the March Madness series, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I hope that you will also consider subscribing before you go, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video.